vacated, now the people mad. They don't offer me support, I don't give a fuck, I ain't going outside. They didn't know that I'm resilient, niggas just like me.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Boxing Conversation with Swaggy. Today I'm gonna be talking about the upcoming fight between Jesse Bam Rodriguez and Naoya the Monster Inoue. I'm saying that it's an upcoming fight because I feel like that's what everyone is talking about. However, before I break down the fight, I do want to emphasize that it hasn't been made official yet. However, Naoya Inoue wants the fight to happen. He reposted it, which shows that he is interested in the fight. Right after, I think it was like 2 days after Bam Rodriguez stopped Antonio Vargas for the WBA world title. That's when Bam Rodriguez also vacated his 115-pound belt, world titles, and he moved up to 118 pounds, and I do want to emphasize that his coach, his trainer, Robert Garcia Sr., he has stated that he wants Bam Rodriguez to get another fight, preferably against Christian Medina. It's gonna be another unification fight if it happens, because Medina currently holds the WBO 118-pound title. So that's the route that they want to take just before Bam Rodriguez fights against the monster Naoya Inoue. I think Christian Medina has 28 wins, 4 losses. I'm not sure, 24 wins or 28 wins, but he has 4 losses. He has quite a number of knockouts, so that's gonna be interesting. But I feel like Bam is gonna stop him as well. And I think that Bam has already proven that he's also the king of that division as well. If it was up to me, I would insist that Bam should move to 122 pounds, which is exactly Naoya Inoue's division, and I would insist that he first gets a fight there, maybe against the likes of Junto Nakatani, but I doubt that that's ever gonna happen, because a fight against Nakatani is not just any fight. He might mess around and lose that fight, because Nakatani is no joke. He almost beat Inoue himself just before he got the cut from the head, but so Nakatani is not a joke as well. It has been rumored that even before Inoue himself fights against Bam, he might get a rematch against Junto Nakatani. I feel like Junto Nakatani and Bam Rodriguez is not a fight that's gonna happen next. I feel like Bam should move up though. I feel like he should move up to 122 pounds already, but not fight Naoya Inoue. He should fight someone there, a contender there. Someone also said he should fight the fighter that Nakatani fought before he fought Inoue, which is Sebastian Hernandez. I don't agree. I feel like also Hernandez would give Bam a very tough fight. He might also mess around and beat him. I feel like if Bam is going to 122 pounds, it should just go straight to Inoue. And as I was saying, like the likes of Casemiro, Joan Real Casemiro, who just stopped someone from Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. Joan Real Casemiro has also been calling out Naoya Inoue. I think that a fight between Bam and Joan Real Casemiro would be solid, and I think Bam would beat him. Not saying he's weak, but I think Bam would be able to overcome the challenge, or maybe one more fight at 118 pounds against Christian Medina. But I also feel like a fight that would make a great storyline is a fight between Bam Rodriguez and Naoya Inoue's brother, Takuma Inoue, who is currently the WBC world champion at the 118 pound division, and he's actually rated number 1 in that division. If it's not Christian Medina, I think it's Takuma Inoue. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. So I think that if he would also unify against Takuma Inoue, I feel like he can also do that, or just avoid the fight, because a fight against Naoya Inoue, bro, you might get beat. But then Turki Al-Sheikh is involved, Sela is involved, Netflix is involved, which has 250,000 followers or subscribers, so and I feel like the advantage of Netflix, this is a reference to True School Sports by Brandon. Yeah, shout out to Brandon. True School Sports, the untouchable, the number 1 Japanese source of boxing in America. Yeah, Brandon Taylor also stated that Netflix has an advantage of having 250,000 subscribers or followers, which also has casual fans, people who don't watch boxing, or people who are not fans of boxing, people who just come across highlights, or when they talk about boxing, they only talk about Floyd Mayweather, which we all know that he has retired. Yes, he's coming back against Pac-Man, but they talk about his old fights, or just Floyd Mayweather, just because it's Floyd Mayweather. Like casuals, like people who are just gonna mention like famous people from boxing, like Muhammad Ali, casually, but they're not gonna break down the sweet science and actually tell you what's going on right now. They're not gonna tell you that Osaki Foster recently beat Raymond Ford. They're not gonna tell you that there's a fighter from Japan who only has 3 fights, who is gonna fight for the WBC world title against Ricardo Malajica from South Africa. That fighter from Japan is Tomoya Tsuboi. Tomoya Tsuboi. He has 3 wins, but he has 4 fights actually. But his last fight was a no contest. So yeah, he is unbeaten in 4 fights. His 5th fight is gonna be a world title fight. So yeah. So casuals won't give you the information that you need. They just gonna try to prove that they know boxing. They're not lost when people are talking about boxing, so those are casuals. And also a casual is someone who just knows that in boxing people hit each other, but they don't know anything. They don't know like anyone, but they just know Floyd Mayweather, or just a name that everyone knows, man. Yeah, so that's the advantage of Netflix. Shout out to Brandon Taylor. I feel like Brandon Taylor was correct when he said that. I feel like when it comes to Netflix, people are gonna tune in, look at the likes of Canelo when he fought Bud Crawford. That was crazy. Look at Fury, he just beat Makhmudov. Conor and just beat Regis Prograis. A lot of great fights have happened on Netflix. Look at Katie Taylor. She fought 2 or 3 times on Netflix, So yeah, I think in September, Joshua versus Fury is also gonna be on Netflix, So now let's talk about the fight, Let me start off by breaking down Bam Rodriguez. Bam Rodriguez likes using angles. He likes shifting a lot, very awkward. However, in his fight against Antonio Vargas, he did get touched up from round 1 to round 4. I think he lost those rounds up until he got the knockdown in round 5. And then he stopped Vargas in round 6, which got people saying that he's not ready for the monster, But styles make fights. Look at Crawford. Crawford went up to 154, and he also fought for the WBA world title against Israel Madrimov, and that was a close fight, I won't lie, but Crawford won. Then people wrote him off completely when it came to the Canelo fight, and someone else did say this, this is something that I heard someone saying, and I feel like it made sense, So I'm not the first one to say this. I don't want you guys to say that, Boxing Conversations with Swaggy is a copycat. I'm not a copycat. This is my content, but when I agree with people, I can't not make a reference, but I just forgot who said it, It was not Brandon Taylor, but someone said it. Was it Showbiz, the adult? I'm not sure, because I watch a lot of boxing content. I'm not sure, but someone said it, As long as y'all know that I am, acknowledging the fact that this is not fully coming from me, Everything is mine, but if something is not coming from me, you're gonna hear it from me. I don't want y'all to say that I'm a copycat, because anyways, I think Timothy Bradley said that, Timothy Desert Storm Bradley said that, he said that, and he was right. Look at Crawford. He got touched up against Madrimov. He never lost. He wasn't losing the fight, but it was a tough fight. People did not know who Madrimov was. People who know boxing knew who he was. They knew him from the amateurs. They knew that he was a great fighter. He was a threat. He was awkward, but people just expected Bud to walk through him, and that was not the case. That wasn't the case. With that being said, Bud moved up 3 weight divisions practically, but from 154 to 168 is 2 weight divisions. But that was his first fight at 154. Bud fought at 147 for the majority of his career. So he moved up, let's say, from 147 to 154. He skipped 160 and then went straight to 168 and beat Canelo. So I don't want to look at this fight, the first 4 rounds, just because Bam was struggling a little bit, trying to get his rhythm. We don't know whether he was doing that intentionally, trying to feel the power. Not saying that getting hit intentionally is a good idea, but styles make fights, and maybe Bam knew that there's no way that this guy could stop me, but let me feel his punches, let me feel the power from this division, I'm not sure, I'm not a boxer, but I'm just saying like that might have been the case. So I think that once Bam fights Inoue, it's gonna be a great fight. With that being said, we saw Bam putting pressure on the former WBO world champion Pumelela Kafu from South Africa, who put up a very brave performance, a great performance. And Bam even said it himself that that was his toughest fight, that was his best fight. So that was great. And they went 10 rounds. Not a lot of people go 10 rounds with Bam. So they almost went that distance. So shout out to Big Bro. But I feel like in that fight, Bam showed us that he can also put pressure. Kafa was also using angles, turning when Bam was turning, and he was also landing some good punches. So Bam does have a chin, because these are big punches. I mean, these are big punchers. Vargas was a big puncher. Kafu was a big puncher. He stopped someone in the first 26 seconds of the very first round in the fight before he fought Bam. So he was not he is no joke. And I believe that is gonna be he's gonna become a world champion again. Look at his fights against Martinez. Like Martinez was not a joke as well. Look at his fights against Francisco Rodriguez, if I'm not mistaken. Look at his fights against Francisco Rodriguez. Oh nah, look at his fight against Francisco Estrada. Estrada was a veteran. He actually dropped Bam with a straight left. Yeah, I think it was a straight left. Bam went down. It was a flash knockdown, but he got back up. So Bam does have a chin. He does have a chin, and he is human. I feel like I saw that he is human. Obviously, in the fight against Estrada, I definitely saw that he's human in his fight against Kafu. Look at his face after the fight. Obviously, he won. Obviously, he inflicted more damage. Obviously, he was leading. I'm not trying to take away credit from him, but I'm just saying, like, he's not invisible. He can also get hit. He can also get hurt. And what I like the most about him is that he's honest. He does state that no, Kafu does have power. I did feel his power. Yes, Vargas does have power. I did feel his power. Estrada does have power. I did feel his power. So Bam is not someone who's gonna pretend like he's this machine. No, but he just makes sure that he gets his hand raised. He just uses his skills to the best of his abilities. And in the fight against the South African, he put pressure. That's what I saw. Yes, he did use his angles, especially when he caught Kafu. That was a great angle. But I feel like for the most part, he was going forward. So yeah, but I don't feel like he's necessarily a come forward fighter. He is also technical. And look at his fight against Vargas. He was fighting like he was fighting on the back foot. Look at his fights against Sonny Edwards. Like Bam is ready for the monster, but I just feel like the only problem is the weight. But I feel like when it comes to punch resistance, experience, credibility, I feel like Bam is definitely ready, and he would put up a great fight against Inoue. Yeah. He has a great jab. He's a great body puncher. Look at the knockdown when he won against Estrada. That was a great body punch, you know. There's another angle that he used. I just forgot the name of the boxer he was fighting. I think he was fighting against Pedro Quadras. Yeah, when he hit him with that uppercut, you know, and he turned around and, you know, hit him with that uppercut that I I never saw coming, you know. Pause. But like, yeah, man. I feel like Bam is really like that, and he's ready for the fight. And I think his next fight should definitely be one more fight at 118 or just one fight at 122, and then go straight to the monster, you know. Because I feel like the only issue is the weight. But at the same time, I don't really feel like it's gonna be much of a problem because the monster started at 105 pounds also, you know. That's mini flyweight, if I'm not mistaken. Like he also started at like mini flyweight and went up. So the monster is not necessarily, you know, naturally big, but he's just great as a boxer. Like he can beat people who are bigger than him. He can go to 126 and dominate, go to 130 and dominate. So he's just great. He's just a talented boxer, which is why we need to see him and Bam fighting because it's going to be the best versus the best, you know. Now let's talk about Inoue. I think that Inoue is fast, very fast, slick, and I was surprised when I saw him, you know, knock out Scooter, you know, Stephen Fulton. Inoue is very fast, and he kind of has an American style a little bit. I know that he's Japanese. He obviously fights like a Japanese fighter. But if you would look at his stance and if you would look at the speed of his punches, he's very fast. And if you would look at his head movement, you know, how he moves and how he, you know, uses his ring IQ, ring generalship, and how he actually does not always look for the knockout, you know. He can also make a fight boring if he wants to. That's experience right there because he has many knockouts. He knows that we know what he is capable of. So he just does what he is supposed to do in order to get his hand raised. So in other words, he does not look for the knockout anymore, you know. He has had a lot of great fights, a lot of great fights. Obviously, his fights against Nonito Donier, like his two fights against Nonito Donier are the fights that made him well known and put him on the scene. But my personal favorite fight of him is the fight he had with the boxer from the from the Philippines, Marlon Tapales. I feel like that was my favorite fight of him because Tapales gave him a hard fight, a great fight, and Tapales is also an elite contender. He actually won in the Rumble in the Jungle when Siakolwa Kuse fought against Melvin Jerusalem and actually lost on points in their first fight. Tapales was one of the undercard fighters with Nico Ali Welch fighting to a draw. And that bill was in the Philippines, you know, in honor of the great Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, you know, for their historic Rumble in the Jungle fight, you know, which Ali obviously won by knockout in round number 14, if I if I'm not mistaken. And I feel like Inoue is fast. Inoue has been tested and is definitely the favorite, you know. heading into the fight against Bam Rodriguez. Inoue has also been dropped by the likes of Cardenas. He was dropped by Ramon Cardenas from Mexico. Yeah, he also fought against the likes of Sam Goodman, who was unbeaten in 21 fights, if I'm not mistaken, 20 or 21 fights. He also fought against someone that people actually said he was ducking. That's Murajan Akhmadaliev. People were saying that he has been ducking for years. Akhmadaliev was calling out Inoue for years, but he also beat him in a fight which wasn't easy. It was very technical. It was tit for tat, but Inoue always makes sure that he is just a step above you so that he gets the nod. Inoue has 33 fights, 33 wins and 27 knockouts, whereas Bam Rodriguez has 24 fights, 24 wins and 17 knockouts. They both have a high knockout ratio, and yeah, I feel like it's definitely a 50-50 fight on paper. Inoue is fast. I've been saying this. He has power in both hands. He obviously fought against Junto Nakatani in his most recent fight. Inoue is a GOAT, is a legend. He's probably in the Mount Rushmore of boxing. He's an all-time great. He has beaten everyone that he needed to beat, and I feel like the only reason that people are, or let me say the boxing world is pushing for the fight with Bam Rodriguez is only because of Bam Rodriguez. It's because they wanna see how good Bam is. Because even if Inoue wins the fight against Bam or he loses the fight against Bam, he is already an all-time great. I feel like he's already an all-time great. He's already a legend. I feel like in this fight he really doesn't have nothing to lose if you think about it. He has done everything. He is 34 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he has an unbeaten record to keep, but when it comes to legacy and all that stuff, I feel like it's Bam who still has to do more because he's young. However, he has also proven himself more than enough times at a young age, beating Sonny Edwards, beating Francisco Estrada, beating Tafu, beating Vargas. He has beaten a number of people, Martinez, Quadras. I think he also beat Quintana for his first world title fight, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was Quintana. Yeah, but he has beaten a lot of great fighters, a lot of them. He has also beaten the fighter from Thailand who had more than 50 fights, a lot of knockouts, a great fighter. He also beat him. So, yeah, the only fighter that he never fought was Chocolatito, but I feel like he was also gonna beat him as well, because I feel like Chocolatito is already over the hill. Even during the time when Bam first became a world champion, I'm not saying Chocolatito was completely done. No, I'm not saying that, but I just feel like Bam was the fresher one and Chocolatito was on his way out. You could say that for this fight against Inoue as well, but Inoue is living a great lifestyle. Look at Bud. He was 38 years old when he fought Canelo. Canelo was 35, and people say that Bud beat a old. People still say that Bud beat an old Canelo, but Bud was the older one by 3 years for that matter. So make it make sense. This fight is gonna be great, man. just the names Naoya Inoue and Jesse Bam Rodriguez. With that being said, let me come up with the prediction because I feel like the video is long enough. The video is long enough. No, I think that Naoya Inoue is gonna win this fight. I think it's gonna frustrate Bam Rodriguez and he's gonna win it on points. So he's gonna win it on points. I think that in as much as Bam is great, I actually want him to win this fight. Heading into the fight, I am rooting for Bam, but if I am being realistic, Naoya Inoue is just on another level, man. Like he's much polished, and it has nothing to do with weight. It has nothing to do with age or resumes. I just feel like Naoya Inoue is just the best. You know, he could go to 126 and beat them, go to 130 and beat them. Like Naoya Inoue is different. Like I do not know how to put it. Bam Rodriguez is also different. He could do the same. He could go to 122 and beat Inoue, go to 126 and so forth. But I just feel like the one who just I just feel like the better fighter is Inoue. But Bam is gonna put up a great fight, a brave performance. I won't be surprised if he knocks down Inoue. I won't be surprised if he also gets knocked down. I think it's gonna be a fan-friendly fight. I don't think Bam is gonna move. I think the mover is gonna be Inoue, and that's gonna be his advantage because Bam is not used to people making him think, you know. He's just used to adapting and taking people out, you know. So Inoue is gonna make him think. Inoue is gonna frustrate him. He's gonna use his experience a lot, and I think that Bam Rodriguez is gonna use his youth. He's gonna try to stop Inoue, but I think Inoue knows his way around the ring too well, and I think that Inoue is gonna make it not an easy night, but I think he's gonna find a way to win, you know, and he might make it less competitive. In as much as we want it to be competitive, but Inoue is gonna make it less competitive for himself, you know. So yeah, man, I got Inoue by points. Tell me what y'all think on the comment section below. Appreciate y'all.
Southpaw, the most factual and funniest, hands down. Wouldn't mind if I upload. I wouldn't mind if you upload every second. All love, Southpaw TV. Thank you, Mr. Boxing Conversation with Swaggy. I like your channel too. You got a dope channel. I see your shit.
Box Conversation with Swaggy. What's up, family? Salute to South Africa.